More than 3,000 years ago, the Jewish people entered the land of Israel and built an altar on Mount Ebal. Last night, history moved again. Jews returned to that same mountain and began building a community there once more. The new community was established overnight in Samaria on the mountain that rises above the ancient city of Shechem, known today as Nablus. For decades, Mount Ebal has been mainly an archaeological site connected to one of the earliest moments in Jewish history. But now, something very different is happening there. A place, once known only for its ancient ruins, may soon become a living Jewish community once again. Mount Ebal holds a unique place in Jewish history. In the book of Deuteronomy, Moses gives a very specific command. In Deuteronomy chapter 27, he tells the Jewish people that when they enter the land of Israel, they must gather on Mount Ebal and Mount Gerizim, and that an altar must be built on Mount Ebal. The Torah even gives precise instructions for how to build an altar there. It says the stones must be whole stones and that no iron tools should be used to cut them. Later, in the book of Joshua chapter 8, he carries out that exact command, and after the Jewish people crossed the Jordan River, Joshua builds an altar on Mount Ebal exactly as Moses had instructed. There, the nation gathers and renews its covenant in the land for the very first time. This moment takes place before the tabernacle stood in Shiloh, and centuries before the first and second temple stood. Mount Ebal is therefore connected to one of the earliest moments in Jewish life in the land of Israel. For many years, this story was known only as from the Bible. But in the late 1980s, Israeli archaeologist Adam Zertal made a remarkable discovery on Mount Ebal. He uncovered a large ancient stone structure that many researchers believe may have been the altar described exactly the one from the book of Joshua. The structure dates back to around 1200 BCE, the same period when the Jewish people entered the land of Israel. Archaeologists also found animal bones from kosher species used for sacrifices, and the structure itself was built from uncut stones, exactly as the Bible had commanded, exactly matching the biblical command from Moses, that the altar must be built from whole stones without the use of iron tools. These discoveries created a powerful connection between the biblical account and the physical remains on the mountain itself. But Mount Ebal is not only an ancient site, it also sits at one of the most politically sensitive areas in the region. The mountain overlooks Nablus, a Palestinian-controlled city. Under the Oslo Accords, this area is classified as Area B. That means Palestinian civil control, but Israeli security responsibility. Because of this complicated situation, protecting the archaeological site has been very, very difficult. In 2021, construction work carried out by the Palestinian Authority damaged parts of the archaeological remains near the altar. Israeli archaeologists and politicians strongly condemned the damage. The incident raised serious concerns about how vulnerable the Jewish historical sites in Judea and Samaria really are, and renewed calls to better protect the place connected with the earliest chapters of the Jewish history. In May 2025, the Israeli government approved 22 new communities in Judea and Samaria, and Mount Ebal was one of them. Then, in February 2026, the government granted the community official legal status. So what happened last night, this was not a random event. This was part of a broader national decision. During the night, activists, together with the Samaria Regional Council, moved prefabricated homes onto the mountain. Within hours, the first stage of a new Jewish community had been established. Samaria Regional Council head Yossi Dagan described the move as the pinnacle of Zionism. For a place known for thousands of years as a biblical and archaeological site, Mount Ebal is now entering a completely new chapter. More than 3,000 years after Joshua built an altar on Mount Ebal, Jews are once again establishing a community on that same mountain. Jewish history in the land of Israel did not end in the Bible. And in places like Mount Ebal, it is still unfolding today.